Every day, millions of Muslims unknowingly put their souls at risk by overlooking these 5 critical truths, and guess what, my friend? Today, in this video, we're going to explore the 5 Islamic truths that are the vital lessons that can protect you from the same fate. If you've ever felt uneasy, if you've ever wondered if your actions might come back to haunt you, this video is for you. Don't ignore this, because what you're about to learn could change your life. The essence of Tawhid, monotheism. You might be thinking, why is the belief in the oneness of God, Tawhid, so important? Isn't it enough just to be a good person, to do good deeds? But here's the truth. Tawhid isn't just a belief. It's the foundation of everything in Islam. Without it, everything else falls apart. Think about it. What happens when we start believing that power, wealth, or people can control our fate instead of God? We lose sight of the truth, and that's when everything goes wrong. Let me ask you, how many times have you heard people say, "I can handle this on my own," or "money is all I need to be happy"? But what if I told you that this mindset is exactly what leads to the biggest downfalls in life? When you place anything or anyone above God, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's not just about losing your way, it's about losing your soul. Studies show that people who lack a strong spiritual foundation are more likely to suffer from anxiety, depression, and a sense of purposelessness. According to the Pew Research Center, 68% of people who prioritize materialism over spirituality report feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. That's not a coincidence. When you forget Tawhid, when you ignore the oneness of God, you're inviting chaos into your life. And it's not just statistics. The Quran itself warns us about this. In Surah Al-Ikhlas, it's stated, "Say, He is Allah, who is one." This isn't just a verse. It's a clear reminder that everything begins and ends with God. Ignoring this is not just a mistake. It's a path to destruction. So, what's the real cost of ignoring Tawhid? It's losing your sense of direction, letting your life be ruled by temporary things, and ultimately, facing consequences that can shake you to your core. Don't make the mistake of thinking this doesn't apply to you. Ask yourself, have you placed anything above God in your life? Have you let other things take control? But there's more. If this truth has caught your attention, wait until you hear the second truth. It's something that could change the way you see your daily actions forever. The weight of Salah, prayer. Now, why is prayer, Salah, so crucial? Isn't it just a routine, something you do out of habit? But let me ask you, what happens when you disconnect from something vital? Like unplugging a phone from its charger, it starts to die. The same thing happens to your soul when you skip Salah. Salah isn't just a ritual. It's your direct line to God, your source of strength, guidance, and peace. Think about this. How many times have you felt lost, stressed, or overwhelmed and thought, "I can handle this on my own"? But what if I told you that ignoring Salah is like cutting yourself off from the one thing that can truly help you? When you miss your prayers, you're not just skipping a task. You're turning away from your source of peace, and that has real consequences. According to a study published in the Journal of Religion and Health, people who pray regularly are less likely to suffer from anxiety and depression. In fact, the study shows that regular prayer can reduce stress levels by 40%. But here's the shocking part. Those who neglect Salah often experience a deep sense of emptiness and anxiety, as if something vital is missing from their lives. The Quran clearly states in Surah Al-Baqarah, "Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing." This verse isn't just advice, it's a warning. When you skip Salah, you're more likely to fall into actions that harm yourself and others. You're more vulnerable to temptations, to losing your moral compass. And before you know it, small slips turn into big regrets. Let me ask you, how many times have you told yourself, "I'll pray later," or "I'm too busy right now"? But what if later never comes? What if that one missed prayer is the start of a downward spiral? The truth is, every time you skip Salah, you're making a choice, and that choice can have lasting effects on your life and your soul. But this isn't just about fear. It's about understanding the real power of Salah. When you pray, you're not just going through the motions. You're reconnecting with your purpose, realigning your life with what truly matters. And the peace, the clarity you get from that, is something nothing else can offer. But if you think Salah is the only thing you need to watch out for, think again. The next truth we are about to reveal is something that goes beyond your personal connection to God. It's about how you impact the world around you. But please hold for a minute. You won't believe my friend. But it takes a lot of effort and courage to uncover the darkest facts that no one wants to hear, and it's risky too. But for all my efforts and research, can I deserve only a subscribe from you? It only takes you 10 seconds, but for me, it matters a lot. Zakat. Now, many of us are thinking, why is zakat, or charity, such a big deal? Isn't giving money just a choice, something you do when you feel like it? But here's a question for you. What happens when the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? What kind of world does that create? Zakat isn't just about giving. It's about balance, justice, and making sure that wealth isn't hoarded by a few while others suffer. Now, I have a question for you. How many times have you seen people flaunting their wealth while others around them struggle to survive? But what if I told you that ignoring zakat isn't just a personal failing, it's a social crime? When you withhold charity, you're not just holding on to money. You're holding back the well-being of your community, your society, and ultimately, your own soul. According to a report by the World Bank, over 700 million people live in extreme poverty, struggling to survive on less than $1.90 a day. But here's the kicker. If everyone who could give zakat actually did, we could significantly reduce that number. In fact, a study by the Islamic Development Bank suggests that proper distribution of zakat could lift millions out of poverty every year. So, when you neglect zakat, you're not just ignoring a religious duty. You're turning your back on a chance to change the world. The Quran is clear about this. In Surah Al-Baqarah, it says, "Those who spend their wealth in Allah's way have their reward with their Lord. They will have no fear, nor will they grieve." This isn't just a promise, it's a principle. When you give zakat, you're not losing money. You're gaining protection, blessings, and peace. But when you hoard wealth, thinking it makes you powerful, you're actually making yourself vulnerable to loss, both in this life and the next. Let's get real. How often do we tell ourselves, "I'll give later when I have more," or "What I have isn't enough to make a difference"? But what if that's just an excuse? What if the little you give could be the difference between someone eating or starving, between a child going to school or staying on the streets? By withholding zakat, you're not just failing yourself, you're failing those who depend on you. And it's not just about others, it's about you. Studies show that people who give regularly are happier, healthier, and more fulfilled. The Journal of Happiness Studies found that those who give to charity are 43% more likely to feel a sense of purpose in their lives. So, when you give zakat, you're not just helping others, you're helping yourself live a richer, more meaningful life. But if you think zakat is the only duty you need to consider, think again. And it's not just about others, it's about you. Studies show that people who give regularly are happier, healthier, and more fulfilled. The Journal of Happiness Studies found that those who give to charity are 43% more likely to feel a sense of purpose in their lives. So, when you give zakat, you're not just helping others, you're helping yourself live a richer, more meaningful life. But if you think zakat is the only duty you need to consider, think again. The reality of the Day of Judgment. You might be thinking, why should I worry about the Day of Judgment? Isn't it something far off in the future? Something that doesn't affect my life right now? But here's the question you need to ask yourself. What if the future isn't as distant as you think? What if every single action you take today is being recorded, weighed, and judged? The Day of Judgment isn't just a concept. It's a reality that every single person will face, whether they believe in it or not. Think about this. How many times have you heard people say, "I'll change later," or "I have plenty of time to make things right"? But what if I told you that this mindset is the most dangerous trap you can fall into? When you live as if you have all the time in the world, you're ignoring the truth that time is running out. Every day, every hour, every minute brings you closer to that moment when your deeds will be laid bare, and there will be no more chances to fix what's broken. Pew Research Center claims that more than 50% of people believe in an afterlife, but only a fraction actually live as if their actions today will determine their fate tomorrow. This disconnect between belief and action is where the danger lies. The Quran warns us in Surah Al-Zalzala, "So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it." This isn't just a warning, it's a reality check. Every action, no matter how small, has consequences. Let me ask you, how often do you find yourself thinking, what I do in private doesn't matter? Or, no one will ever know? But what if you're wrong? What if every secret, every hidden deed, will one day be exposed for all to see? Ignoring the day of judgment isn't just foolish, it's playing with fire, and the burn is eternal. And it's not just about fear. It's about understanding the true weight of your actions. On that day, nothing will be hidden, nothing will be forgotten. The choices you make today, the things you think no one sees, are all being recorded. And on the day of judgment, they will either be your salvation or your downfall. But here's the real question. Are you ready to face that day? Have you lived in a way that you can stand before your Creator without fear, without regret? Or are you living in denial, pretending that this day will never come? The truth is, it's coming, and there's no escape. But you don't have to face it unprepared. But if you think this is where the story ends, think again. The next truth we're about to reveal is something that holds the key to navigating this life and the next. Truth number 5, the power of the Quran. You might wonder, why is the Quran called the ultimate guide? Isn't it just an old book, a collection of teachings from long ago? But let me ask you, what if this book holds the answers to questions you didn't even know you were asking? What if everything you need to navigate life's challenges is right here, but you've been ignoring it? Consider this. How many people spend their lives searching for purpose, for direction, for something that gives their life meaning? They look everywhere, self-help books, motivational speakers, social media, only to end up more confused, more lost. But what if I told you that the Quran has been providing these answers for over 1,400 years? It's not just a book, it's a blueprint for life, a map that leads to true peace and fulfillment. A study found that nearly 80% of Muslims who regularly read and reflect on the Quran report higher levels of life satisfaction and lower levels of stress. But here's the shocking part. Those who ignore it, who treat it as just a book on a shelf, are missing out on the very guidance that could transform their lives. The Quran isn't just words on a page. It's a living, breathing source of wisdom. And the Quran itself says in Surah Al-Isra, "Indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most suitable." This verse isn't just a claim. It's a promise. The Quran addresses every aspect of life, from how to deal with hardship to how to find true happiness. But the question is, are you listening? Are you taking the time to understand what it's saying? Or are you letting its wisdom go unheard? Let's be real. How often do we say, "I'll read it later," or "I don't have time to study it deeply"? But what if you're overlooking the most powerful tool you have? What if by neglecting the Quran, you're cutting yourself off from the very guidance that could save you from making the same mistakes over and over again? Ignoring the Quran isn't just neglect, it's a form of self-sabotage. But this isn't just about missing out on advice. It's about missing out on the truth, the kind of truth that can change your life forever. The Quran isn't just a religious text. It's a source of power, a connection to something greater than yourself. When you engage with it, you're not just reading. You're discovering a path that leads to real, lasting peace. But if you think understanding the Quran is enough, think again. So, what does it mean to never ignore these 5 truths in Islam? It means making Tawhid the foundation of your life and ensuring that your connection to God is your highest priority. It means committing to Salah, recognizing that prayer isn't a chore, but a lifeline. It means giving Zakat and understanding that your wealth isn't just for you, but a blessing to be shared. It means living with the day of judgment in mind, knowing that your actions today will shape your tomorrow. It means following the prophets and accepting their guidance as the best way to live a life of integrity, wisdom, and peace. These 5 truths are not just concepts. They are the keys to living a life that truly matters. Ignore them, and you risk losing everything. Embrace them, and you'll find a path that leads to success in this life and the next. Share this message, comment with your thoughts, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more insights that can help guide you on this journey. Remember, these truths aren't just teachings. They're your path to a life of true peace, fulfillment, and success.